What is up, guys and girls? So today I want to briefly talk about I guess you could call it like how feminism, okay? And this video was inspired by a video I was just watching. It was a talk with the Dalai Lama and Maria Shriver, who apparently is a large advocate in terms of feminism, having written multiple books on the topic. And I'm just going to express my opinions on equality because from the little bit I watched from that video, don't ask me how I got to that video. Okay, I'll tell you. It was in the related YouTube videos things. That's how YouTube gets you. Anyhow, basically, her discussion was centered around the idea where she's wondering how people can be encouraged to understand that they're worthy enough or they're capable enough of running businesses or running in front of a large movement or whatever. And she's specifically focused on the female gender. And basically, I don't want to say too many eloquent words. Long story short, I truly think that equality is going to happen in the long run, whether you want it to or not. At least as far as gender differences, because it's already happening. A lot of things have already been achieved. And even if you're against it, the tidal wave it's just too large right now, and it's gonna happen. And I really don't know too much about it, but there's two big examples that pop into my mind. And these are examples of women who have led the charge and created tremendous businesses worth hundreds of millions of dollars as the head. And these things have already happened and been done, and one of them's died already. So this has been achieved, and it will be achieved. And I feel like there will be those who think they're not capable of doing it, and then there's those who think they are. And the ones who think they are, some will succeed, and with every aspect and walk of life, some will fail. And all we can hope to do is encourage those who fail to get up and try again, because that really is the key to success. It's not like if you fail, you're screwed. It's the understanding that if you fail, you can get up and try again. And a lot of people forget the fact that it's not like a one-shot opportunity at times, especially with businesses. As long as you don't put like $1 million into your first business, a lot of people get overexcited and start that up in terms of like venture capital. But anyhow, I'm getting off track. Then you got the faction who they don't think they can do it. And all we can hope to do is convince more and more of these people that they can. And some will be too stubborn to ever be convinced, but it's sad, but they'll fall behind. But I really think that in the long run, the fittest, or the survival of the fittest sort of concept, kind of, whether you like it or not, comes into play. So it's in a lot of ways inevitable as far as the U.S. is concerned. Other developing nations, I'm not going to go there, but we'll see what happens. My overall opinion is it can get there, but it'll take a lot longer. There's a lot of probably, and there still will be, racial discrimination in other nations. And so I'm going to finish off with these two real-life examples. Two that Warren Buffett know really well, because they are in a lot of ways, both of them played a huge part into how he built the capital that he now has. So the first is a woman named Rose Blumpkin. She, and the story goes, she came to the U.S. as an immigrant with less than $100. And long story short, she built that into $100 million business, selling furniture. And her strategy was really simple, and that's how it worked. And she worked really hard to achieve it, and through it, she constantly got more relatives to come over, and it really did. It was such an inspirational story, and Warren Buffett came in and really just helped her along. And he knew what was going on, and he knew that this girl not only was like the head of the business, but she was in love with the business. She didn't take vacations because she didn't want to, and she worked until she was 90, even though she was filthy rich. And so, long story short, she sold furniture cheaper than others. And she refused to do it any other way, and she died with $100 million business called the Nebraska Furniture Mart, something like that. The second story is also something I learned upon my readings of Warren Buffett. This one I read up on in a book recently called The Warren Buffett Way, technically audiobook. And long story short, this business was thrust upon her unexpectedly because of the death of her husband and the inheritance. So she owned the business, and it was a crumbling sort of empire. It was a newspaper business called the Washington Post, and it was crap. Everything was going to crap. Their competitors were creaming her. She had no idea what she was doing, and I still don't know the details because the book didn't explain it in depth enough. But a long story short, Warren came in, taught her how to run it, and she became one of the best heads of newspapers in history. And the thing is, she was scared to death before Warren came in. She didn't know what she was doing. She thought Warren had come in to, take over the business by buying out the shares. But it turned out he wasn't, and he helped her along. And this was a girl who lacked the confidence. She wasn't confident that she could make it. And maybe it had to do with her gender. Most likely it just had to do with herself. I mean, there's a lot of guys like myself who they just don't think they have the credentials or the ability to achieve something. And Warren came in, helped her out, and now the Washington Post is $100 million, if not greater, billion-dollar business. And the book, The Warren Buffett Way, actually explains it like mathematically, but essentially she was able to increase profit margins so that they dwarfed all the competitors for decades. And on top of that, she was able to achieve such a high return on her business over the long run in decades compared to her competitors too, that it was very clear that she herself was probably one of the best owners of the business in terms of the newspaper industry in the history of the world that has ever been seen. And she's retired now, but that's the story for you guys. And that's all I gotta say. As always, like, favorite, comment, and subscribe.